Hey, greetings, everybody. This is Jonathan here giving you an update on some of the things that have been happening this summer. Um, so, this summer, it's gone by fast. I know it has for all of you too, but at our church here, Vast, here in Sisters, Ryan Moffat, who is the pastor here, has not had a sabbatical for like 8 years. And so he took a 3 month sabbatical. So I ended up having a lot of absorbing some of the responsibility of just being able to preach and be a part of the church here, and really letting him have time off that he needed. In fact, Dustin, a young guy who's also helping do some of the teaching, he actually set up the whole preaching schedule. He's 21 years old, and it was pretty fun because Ryan would try to get back into church business, and there's like a meme from the movie that Tom Hanks, he gets hijacked by he's a captain of a ship, and he gets hijacked by these Somalis. And in the Somali looks at Tom Hanks and says, "Hey, look at me. I am the captain now." So anyway, Dustin, when Ryan would write, try to get back involved, we wouldn't let him get involved. He had to take a real sabbatical. And so Dustin would send him that meme when he was trying to ask questions or get back involved in things. And he says, "Look at me. I am the captain now." So anyway, Dustin was the captain. I was the co-captain, and it was a pretty fun summer. And it was really neat getting to know the people in the community here at Vast. One thing that Dan Ballast, who works with CoServe, said to me and to Janie, he said, "Before you ever go teach servant leadership anywhere, make sure that first and foremost you are part of a community that's practicing it." And that is really vital. Otherwise, you have nothing to take to other people except theory, and you don't have real live practice. So it's been really fun being a part of this community. Brian has said it that the staff meeting, a lot of times people hate staff meetings or they don't like going to meetings. But this staff meeting is unusual because Ryan always has great food. A gal named Mikey always gets great food, and we come together. And it's not just the staff of the church; it's not just the people who are hired. It's a lot of the volunteers, and it's people from like Young Life, and even some people from other churches come. Why? Because it's a time of really development and staff development and growth, and it's really a neat time of getting to know each other. And that's been really fun all summer and ever since I've been here. So super thankful for that. A couple weeks ago, I was asked from a guy I knew at Good Shepherd for a long time, which is the church we used to be involved with, to come and to speak at a big men. It's the first time this church, it's about 5 years old, has ever had a big men's gathering. And he asked me to come speak, and I said, "Well, I would really love to come speak on servant leadership in the church, servant leadership at work, servant leadership in the home." He goes, "That sounds good." And I said, "Have you read the book, The King Saul Syndrome?" He goes, "No, but send it to me." So I sent it to him, and he read it, and I was scheduled to teach on these very things. And then Doug goes, "As I was reading your book, our pastor is sort of like the King Saul," which most are. That's what we get trained in seminary to be, King Saul. And if you haven't read the book, please write me. I will send you a free copy. I would love for you to read it. But so that's interesting. I'm going in to teach on servant leadership in the church, and I might be actually calling out the very guy who's leading the church, and he was going to be at the men's retreat. So I had a number of you pray, and I want to thank you for praying. And just that it would go well, because I got to the retreat, and my prayer was that I would really be able to connect with this leader. Well, before anything, I met him before the first session. I met and started chatting with him and found out he had been listening to a podcast about who killed Mars Hill, what happened up at Mars Hill. If you're familiar with a guy named Mark Driscoll, and Mars Hill was a church of 15,000 that just blew up, and it's no longer a church today. And why? Well, I got to talking to this pastor. He had been listening to this podcast, and it explains everything that we were talking about. And he had also just been facing through this COVID. He just said, "I just realizing that I was leading out of pride, and now that our numbers are down, God's teaching me all these lessons." And so even before the men's event started, he opened up, he shared his heart. God had prepared him to hear everything that was coming. And it was an absolute answer to prayer because he was just as much part of it as every other guy and was there to learn. And they were there to learn as a church. How do we do this differently? So that was huge. That was in Idaho. It was a great time to be there in Idaho with these guys. And then um, a couple other things. So those are some big things that have been happening this summer. But I've also been meeting with a guy named Williams in Nigeria. Some of you know we were scheduled to go to Nigeria, but that was canceled because of COVID. But now it's not COVID; it's real political unrest. So I've been Williams asked me to meet weekly with him and to mentor him. I feel more like he's mentoring me. I'm learning so much about Nigeria and about their situation there. But recently, the last 2 weeks, we've had no content, or not talking about any of the things we were going to, because it was all about praying for him. Because he lives in a city in Nigeria that is half Muslim, half Christian. And I say Christian, if you're not Muslim, you call yourself Christian, even if you're not. And what's been happening there is the Muslims there had been some killings, and then the Christians had retaliated. And when the Christians retaliate, that just escalates the violence. And the city is in lockdown. They had a few days where it opened back up, but it went right back into lockdown after some people were killed. And the young people all just want to go to war. I mean, the young Christians want to go to war with the Muslims, which is not an answer. It would be really, really nasty. And so this is in the city of Jos. They're in serious lockdown. They are really afraid for their lives, not knowing what's going to happen. The lockdown, the government, if they can just stop the violence from escalating, they figure then maybe they have a chance. So this is a guy, Williams, who's been really teaching servant leadership all over that northeast part to the pastors in the Muslim areas there. So pray for him, his family. Iliam Majam, some of you know him if you're part of Good Shepherd. He's in the same city. Samuel Kunyap, they're in the same city. And the city is never seen this kind of tension. They've had tension before, but never like this. And everybody's ready just to kill each other. So would you pray for Williams? Would you pray for Jos? Would you pray for Nigeria? And would you pray for the Christians to know how to respond? Yes, self-defense, protect yourself, but they're actually retaliating by going out and killing. And that, of course, causes a greater retaliation from the Muslims. So pray for great wisdom of the Christian leaders while they're there. And then also in Afghanistan, some of you know of a young man who's with COSERV, and his name is Aziz, and he was praying that he would be able to make it out of Herat before the Taliban took over, and he did just the day before. And he got into Kabul, and boom, 2 days later, Kabul was taken. He was not able to get out of the country. He's a believer in Jesus, his whole family is, and he knows he's probably targeted. And in Herat, they would have told the Taliban, there's a Christian over there. Hopefully in Kabul, which is much bigger, is millions of people, that he'll be able to fly under the radar while he tries to find a way out. And we just think that's probably best for him now until he can see what the Taliban response is going to be toward Christians. So pray for him, please. An amazing man, been teaching servant leadership, been proclaiming the gospel in this place. So pray for Aziz. And that would just be huge. So those are some big things that have been weighing on this. And thank you for your prayers. And also, I was telling you about this men's retreat. If some of you really want to know why we do what we do, that podcast, Who Killed Mars Hill, I'll have a little link. If you were to listen to that, what happened up there, well, that just keeps repeating itself in the Christian world. And not only does it in the Christian evangelical America, but all over the world, this type of leadership, which is guaranteed to eventually self-destruct, is how we're leading. And quite frankly, when people are You've heard of deconstructing the church, deconstructing of the faith. A lot of the deconstruction is actually important to deconstruct because the systems of power have not been godly. They've not modeled Jesus at all. And so a lot of people have left the church, even left the faith because of these things. So if you really want to know the issues that are involved and why what we're doing, listen to that podcast. I think it'll give you a great picture of what we've been working for and what we're working toward and who we're working with. We just got a call from a pastor and his wife that we're really close to, and they're going through a tough time. They're going to be up here in another week or so, and look forward to being with them. Also, if you're at Good Shepherd, look forward to being with you over Labor Day. That'll be fun to be up there, and we'll actually get to be talking on my favorite character, the one who changed my life, actually who I was named after, but didn't really follow his example until a lot later in life, and that's Jonathan. And so that's what it'll be on as they're going through some Old Testament characters. So thanks again for your prayers. Remember, please don't just get off and not pray for Williamsburg, my friend in Nigeria, and for Aziz, who is stuck in Kabul and life is very uncertain for him and his family and his kids. So let's pray. Those are some specific people to be praying for, but specific things to be praying for. Pray for the Taliban. My prayer is that we will be able to go back into Afghanistan and teach the Taliban servant leadership. And you might laugh at that, but that's the kind of miracles God is in the business of doing. So pray to that end, because I know Janie and I would love nothing more than to teach the Taliban servant leadership. So pray that that day comes and comes soon. Thank you again for your prayers. See ya. Bye-bye.